Welcome to another episode of the Cannabis Coffee Crew, where the coffee is strong, the cannabis is smooth, and the conversations are out of this world.
Boom squad in the house. I lower the boom when I do the cipher dash. Production saggy patch as I romance the blast. I take puffs on stuff, rough enough to give a buzz to my guns, even though we don't touch the stuff. See this blunt in my front, some say my stink, but yo, the skunk helps me think, helps me think, helps me. I'm a boom smoker, toker with the neck because I'm
Happy Friday, everyone. Today we'll be covering topics from psychedelics to philosophy. So grab a cup of coffee, a doobie, and let's get groovy. Today we have with us Panda, Volt, and myself, the one and only bipolar nuke. Panda, how are you feeling today? What's going on?
Feeling good, feeling good. We've got some more progress on our book. Feeling productive. How about you, Folter?
I'm feeling pretty good. Ready to rock and roll. I need a little bit more cannabis and probably another cup of coffee, but all in all, I'm ready.
I heard that, man.
So, Nuke, how are you feeling?
I'm doing all right, man. Got a lot of stuff going on, getting ready for surgery for my little girl, and yeah, man, just living life to the best of my abilities right now, man. Uh, Doing what
Uh,
I got to do every day,
yeah, man, one step at a time.
one step at a time. Absolutely. But let's go ahead and kick this off, man. Let's go ahead and talk about some psychedelics and how they are changing the world of mental health. So, some may know and some may not know that psychedelics are being researched for treating mental health disorders like depression and PTSD. Um, so, today we're going to dive deep into how psychedelics are changing the mental health landscape
Yeah.
and things like that.
Okay. So, I know you feel strongly about this subject.
I do.
Um,
I do.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I've taken mental health pretty seriously for the past, I would have to say, 6 years when I first got diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder.
okay.
Um, so I want to take a second to talk about how the mental health landscape looks and how your brain works, and
Okay.
then how these different psychedelics are almost identical to what is in our brains naturally.
Okay. And so, I mean, obviously, it sounds like you believe that psychedelics could fill a much bigger role in addressing mental health related um, diagnoses, right?
Oh,
Diagnoses.
absolutely.
Um, so, yeah, I mean, like, is there any one particular one that you want to cover first?
First, I'm going to talk about what's in your brain. So originally, Jesus, TJ, come on, man. So naturally, in your brain, you have what is called serotonin.
Yep.
And I sent y'all a picture in the Discord, if you look, of serotonin and
Yeah.
how it is, what the chemical compound is. And as you can see in the picture, it says happiness hormone. I like that. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we also have things like dopamine that are also helpful in the brain, which looks almost identical to the serotonin compound. I didn't get the dopamine one, but that's okay. And you
Yeah.
can, even with all they're made up of, even up to psilocybin. If you take a look at the psilocybin one, it looks almost identical to the serotonin.
Okay. Yeah. I've personally had opportunities to use psilocybin, aka enjoying mushrooms.
Shroomies.
And I've both tripped and I've microdosed. And I mean, I can tell you, even at a microdose level, yeah, you feel happier. Things appear brighter. Um, So yeah, I mean, there's probably not a coincidence that the two are similar, or that it makes you happy as a result of it being similar, down to a molecular level.
Yeah, absolutely. There's other things that they're testing as well, such as like LSD, MDMA, mescaline, which is found in what is known as peyote,
Hmm.
or it's a cactus basically. You eat the cactus, and honestly, I wouldn't want to do it because you throw up most likely.
Okay,
It really doesn't sit well in the stomach, but
so it's kind of like ayahuasca in that regard.
yes, ayahuasca is is considered like a cleansing type thing,
Hmm.
and that's how they took mescaline as well. It was like a cleansing of
Yeah,
your, I guess
yeah.
back
A lot of
then would have been
cultures,
spirit.
right? A lot of cultures support some facet of like cleansing the body.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the rise of the LSD therapy was in the 1950s, but the federal government ended up deeming it illegal,
Yeah,
and that was
too
just
easy
part
to
of the
abuse.
war on drugs. Yeah,
Yep.
it was just this whole thing. It was a big scam to me anyway.
I will tell you, LSD is far easier to microdose.
Is
Um,
it?
it is
Sadly,
because, I mean, not sadly, it's
the
just
natural's better.
science, right? Like
Yeah.
LSD dissolves into water.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take a very finite amount of water, say 100 milliliters,
Mm-hmm.
and you can put, so, or say, let's talk about 10 milliliters just on a smaller scale. But if you were to take 10 milliliters of water and you put a tab in that contains 100 milligrams, right? Then you divide 100 by that 10 milliliters of water. So 1 milliliter of water is 10, 10 milligrams of LSD, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
it's very easy to get very accurate dosages so that they can be consistent.
Right.
Um, so as much as LSD is not like, it's a derivative of like, I think it's a derivative of like ergot, um, or something. It comes from ergot. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay.
It can be quite dangerous to make it. If it's
Mm-hmm.
made incorrectly, you can hurt people.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's the
So I
only reason
mean,
why I said mushrooms were better and why I said sadly. It was just because of the natural.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, in the same right, mushrooms have their own dangers, right?
Yeah.
You can't It's very easy to mix up what mushroom is versus another when you're foraging. So anyone in the woods that sees a mushroom, it's highly advisable to just leave it be. Let
Yeah.
it live
Don't
its best life.
don't try to eat it unless you know what the mushroom actually is.
Yeah. Because that horrible taste could be the last thing you ever taste.
Right. There are definitely mushrooms that look exactly the same as others that are deadly.
Yep.
Now, what views do y'all have like with it triggering psychosis in like certain individuals?
I mean, I believe it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it depends on a person's ability to accept essentially your reality changing. And I think for some people, that can be too much to handle. So I do think it's possible, but I mean, there are people who have adverse reactions to everything, medications,
Right.
which, mind you, if we're talking about drugs, the word drug, right, is essentially any substance, whether it's medicinal, like used for medical reasons or not, any substance that causes a physiological effect on the body.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
kind of forgot where I was going because I'm super baked.
That's gonna happen a
I was
lot,
on a
bro. That's gonna
tangent
happen
though.
a
I'm
lot.
telling you. Someone reminds me, I might be able to pick up, but
Yeah. Well,
it can
I
die there too. That's fine.
I found an article, and I'm along the same lines as you. when it comes to that. I believe certain individuals might be more susceptible to that psychosis happening to them. It just depends. It's a case to case basis. You never know who it's going to be. That's why you
Yeah.
have to be careful doing these things. And I always advise people when they're trying shrooms for the first time or LSD to have like a certain environment and to have a certain mindset and to know what and to really have a grasp on reality. That way, when you go into it, you're not so weirded out and end up having a bad trip or a
Right.
bad time on these things.
Yeah, I definitely think there is something to those sort of like ayahuasca retreats, right? Where you
Yeah.
go to this because it's more of an experience, right? You're not just taking some arbitrary substance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you are, but there is an entire atmosphere that surrounds it
Right.
that is designed to set you up for success, right?
Exactly.
And that is very important anytime you're talking about psychedelics. But I think I recall what I was saying earlier. Everything, including that medicine, including antibiotics, people have adverse reactions to those.
Absolutely.
So the fact that it's only ever brought up to discuss something that people just do this to get high or for recreational use. Why is the argument, well, could potentially cause this in 3% of the people when antibiotics do the same? I think it's
Right.
perfectly fair to let the public know, but I think the way that they phrase it, they try to demonize it.
Absolutely.
And that's the part that I'm at odds with, right?
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
Instead
think
of
certain drugs
education.
have certain use cases, right? Opiates are used in the medicine field,
Right.
right? Or medical field. um I mean, cocaine I think is also used in some regard in the
Yep.
medical field, or at least it was. And there's all varying types of different things that are used, but for some reason the public thinks that the word drug implies like four things.
Right. And
Right.
to me, that shit blows my mind because some, like, where I'm from, the South, a little bitty old go, or a bitty is just an older woman, is fine with taking a real drug like a heavy opiate or something like that, like what we used to have like Lortabs and shit like that.
Right.
But they would be fine taking those, but not the natural stuff because people have demonized those things, but they've only demonized them because they know they can't control it because it is natural. They
Right.
can't control it the way they want to because you can go out and find these things naturally in the wilderness. And that's just where we're stuck.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe certain things so as much as you can't maybe control it, there's a way to set up um, you know, certain people that are doing quality control on the mushrooms that are going out to the general public, right? Setting age limits around its use. Um, there are ways to do that. Obviously, if it grows in the woods, someone could still find it in the woods and they're bypassing paying taxes on it. But are we serious? Like, there's a way. And I also believe that things that they don't have a solution for shouldn't instantly be criminalized because they don't have a solution.
Yeah.
It should be quite the opposite. Hey, we don't know enough about this, but we're going to just let the general public know for health concerns, avoid these things because of X, Y, and Z. Or if you decide to take it, here could be the ramifications,
Right.
right? But they shouldn't be throwing people in jail for them, I don't believe, unless
No.
those individuals are somehow hurting other people.
Hmm.
Like, I
It's
don't think
legal to
taxes is
drink
enough.
alcohol. but yet people that kill people while drinking and driving go to jail.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's always going to be people who abuse substances.
Yep.
It's just human nature, I guess, to some degree. But I don't believe, like, I think right now we've got everything backwards. If you don't know how to control something, then you let it be free, right?
Hmm.
You let it do whatever it's going to do. If you decide, hey, we've got a whole infrastructure and all these things to better its quality to ensure people's safety, great. But don't throw people in jail because some people want to eat psychedelics and you can't claim your tax money on it.
Yep.
Like, this is America. There used to be snake oil salesmen on every corner, and that was just part of being free.
Yeah.
I get that we need regulations. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think we should go back to that era. But I do think that they should stop putting people in jail for it. It just ruins lives.
Well, how do y'all think about like legalizing psilocybin? Because they're trying to do that for therapeutic use in Oregon.
Yeah.
So, what are y'all's thoughts about that?
I think it should be legalized. I think because I personally would love to be able to go to the gas station and pay my $50 or whatever, or a dispensary or wherever they're going to force you to go buy it. But you could buy cigarettes and alcohol at a gas station, so it's not a far leap.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I would like to microdose it. I don't personally want to trip again. Like, I don't have that desire. That need isn't calling. Um, but I would most certainly microdose, probably for the rest of my life if I could, if it was legal and there weren't ramifications, or I didn't have to worry about, is this made right? Is it dosaged correctly? Right? If I could just go buy it, take my one drop a day or one drop every 3 days, right? Um, I'd be golden, man.
I heard that. I'd like to try microdosing. I've never tried it. I've only just taken large amounts and tripped really. But Amanda, you all right over there? I ain't heard from you in a minute.
I mean, I'm just not trying to be rude and interrupt.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just
I
chime in.
Yeah, just chime in. We'll
Y'all are
stop.
in the middle of talking. I'm
We're
not that
we're in the middle of
person.
rambling. It's okay.
I mean, I hear you, and I have had to get up a few times because kids don't listen. But so then I have to like take a second to
So,
listen and like hear where y'all are in the conversation and catch back up. And then there may like sometimes there's things where I'm like, oh, I was gonna chime in, but
how do you feel about legalization of psychedelics?
I'm all for it. I 100% believe that most things should be legal. They should be available with education. The correct education is what's needed. We're
Yes.
a very smart species, and with education can make good choices. And yes, like y'all were saying, people will abuse it. That's everything out there
Yeah.
gets abused in some form.
Yep.
Now, there are some cities that are trying to decriminalize it, but I
Mhm.
say if you're going to decriminalize it, why not just legalize it? It's almost the same thing, but I mean, just different words. Come on, let's just
Yeah.
legalize it. Skip the decriminalization process and just go straight into legalizing the shit.
With
Yeah.
education, things can be handled a lot differently. Just there's some things that I think like I don't like, and that's due to just history, family
Right.
history. So no, I don't want to see a bunch of people on fentanyl on the street or heroin or meth. Like
Oh
I
no.
agree to not be in that situation. But educating and providing a safe space for people, like that's fine.
Okay.
Because people are curious in nature.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that the best thing they could do to try to minimize the abuse of things like heroin and meth, right? The best thing they can do is to show people on it. Like, there's no other way to get somebody to stay far away from it, just seeing somebody on it beforehand. The first time that question ever gets asked, "Hey, you wanna try this?" It's gonna be, "I'm good. I'll pass. I don't wanna be a walking zombie."
Mm,
But a lot of that shit is hidden. It's buried, right? Until it's right in front of your face because 'cause you're walking down the wrong street.
yeah.
Nobody really talks about it. Nobody really educates anyone on it other than drugs are bad. But
Drugs are bad, go.
the last
Okay.
tell me one teenager that's ever existed that didn't go through a phase in their life where they wanted to do everything their parents said they shouldn't do.
Yeah. No, no doubt, bro.
Right. So then these people at a vulnerable stage in their life get hooked on something that's damn near impossible to get off of.
Hmm.
And it all comes down to education. If that child knew what happened to these people before they let a friend stick a needle in their arm, things would be different. Like,
Yeah.
I do think you would still have people that are like, "Fuck it, what's there to live for?" Because they're in a tough spot in their time or something, or in their life, but and ultimately go down the wrong path. I still think that will happen, but I think we could greatly reduce it just by helping people
Educating.
understand.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't think the solution is ever putting people in jail. Like, there's no way there's no faster way to create a criminal than to treat someone like a criminal.
110%.
That's a new way to look at it.
You can take any innocent person and put them in the wrong situation, and they will become a criminal because we adapt to our surroundings and our environment. Like, look at Snoop Dogg. Like, not to point fingers or anything, but he came from a gang related background and
Right.
now he's cooking next to Martha Stewart.
Right.
Like, what I'm saying is he grew up and he moved past a lot of those things in his life, but that's very difficult to do for a lot of people.
Yeah. That, yeah, no, absolutely. And along with the education thing, like, I had a buddy, like, I had never really heard of crack, didn't know what it did, nothing. But I went to school with a kid, I was in high school, and he ended up having a heart attack because he was smoking so much crack.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I was like, what the hell? But now it makes sense that he probably wasn't as educated on it as he should have been to know what it could do and how it could end up almost killing you.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got stories coming out now with celebrities who were like, "Oh, I didn't realize Celsius was an energy drink, so I drank a shit ton of them one day and then didn't know why I was like having heart palpitations, but it's
Yeah.
because each can is 200 milligrams of caffeine. So
Shit.
2 of those, and you should not ingest more caffeine that day.
Jesus.
And like the that is considered a relatively safe daily dosage, but there are still people with heart conditions that if they consume that much, they could kill them.
Right.
Yeah, my issue with that conversation about legalization is quite literally, I don't understand why it's not already legal
Oh, yeah, no, weed is
everywhere.
great.
Like, I get it, certain countries have certain laws, but this is America at least, and for our country, I tell me how it's better than alcohol in any way, shape, or form.
No, absolutely.
Like, it's safer than alcohol. It doesn't cause you to lose all your inhibitions like alcohol, which means you're
Might
not
slow
gonna.
you up, but that's
Yeah,
about it.
but it's not gonna make you, shoot your, literal best friend over drinking the last beer, which, mind you, was something that I think happened in, like, Texas years back. but, like, they were just drunk, and then I don't know why you would do that, but it happened.
Yeah. I don't drink myself. Like I might have one or two every now and then, maybe throughout an entire year.
Yeah,
But I watched my uncle, who was a severe alcoholic, do some dumb ass shit all the time.
right.
I mean, because he was always drunk.
Yeah.
But like, it boggles my mind as well why it's not completely legal.
And if I mean, like, the argument I've heard in that regard is, well, they don't know how to tax it, right? And we need all this infrastructure. That still doesn't answer to me why people are getting thrown in jail for figuring like being tradesmen, right? And
Hmm.
like most weed dealers are just trying to fill a need in society to earn extra money. Most of them are not bad people. Like, they're just trying to earn a little extra money by being a pass through of some sort.
Yeah.
And we're still throwing these people in jail.
In my past, there's not many stories that start with, "Well, I was super baked," that didn't lead to, "And I made this bomb ass meal." Whereas most of other substances, it's always a bad ending. "Well, I was blackout drunk and, I don't know, but they told me this happened," or I was high as a kite on fucking heroin. Who knows what happened? There's a video of me being an ape in a
Yeah,
bad way.
I get what you're saying. You mean that, like, you can recall the events of what are happening, and at the end of the day, by the end of things, there was always more of a happy ending or an upside, rather than you don't even know what happened and you just have to believe word of mouth
Right.
or, a video.
Sadly.
Which, mind you, videos can be created with AI, but that Trump one was funny with the
Oh my
AI
god.
transforming him into water and like sloshing French fries all over the place. Ah, we
Uh,
we saw this video on Reddit. I think it was this morning, actually.
Yes.
hmm.
It was terrible. But like I just don't
What a
get it. I
clown.
don't get why we're not legalized, and I think our judicial system, it's starting to show signs of age. What I mean
Right.
by that is that it can't keep up with the demands of the people.
Hmm.
It moves too slowly, and we essentially have two gangs on a turf war that run everything. So when one doesn't get their way, the other one puts up a lot of barriers and walls, and then it rinses and repeats. It's just a destructive cycle.
Yeah.
And I really think we need to figure out how to not have that anymore, but still have checks and balances along the way,
Yeah.
because it's not serving us as a country. No change is happening because no one will let change happen. Everyone is constantly, if they're not getting their way, then they're throwing a temper tantrum and figuring out how they can get even, and then it just never ends.
Right.
They
100%.
they be
And go ahead.
they be playing that Limp Bizkit song. It's my way or the highway.
I like that
Facts.
song though.
No, but uh we had to have political advisors in a time where there was just so many people but not a way to communicate everyone's needs, wants, wishes. This is supposed to be a country for the people, by the people. With the technology we have today, there is so much less of a reason to have politicians. You can easily have forums that go directly to the government that tell them what the people want. You do
Yeah.
not have to have what we have anymore.
That is true. I never thought about that. Using technology as a ways to really get a faster response out of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, how many times have bills gone up through the House and then related to legalization? And one of the most like dirtiest practices I've ever witnessed on a public stage is the houses or the different parties going back and forth. Hey,
Hmm.
we want to legalize cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't want that, but if you want that, we're going to attach 3 addendums. As long as you're okay with that, then we'll vote your bill forward.
That have nothing to do with the legalization of cannabis, that have
Correct.
so,
Like
like
giving up gun rights or whatever. But
Right.
I think the practice of modifying bills and attaching addendums should be outlawed.
right.
You should be
Yes.
voting on one particular thing.
Not
You
a
should have
bunch of
one.
shit.
Precisely. It's a dirty practice so that, quote unquote, everyone can get what they want, but in reality, it's just, "No, we're not gonna vote for your thing
Unless we get our
unless you."
thing.
Yes, and that should not be okay.
Like, are we still
Um,
on a playground, people?
I think so.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's a bunch of kids on a fucking playground. No, it's mine. No, it's
Well,
mine.
where the fuck are we need more teachers. That's what I'm hearing. We need more teachers. I support this.
We
They
need.
should also be a cabinet spot in the White House of just a teacher with a ruler, and every time they act out, they just get popped on the hand.
Nah,
Yeah.
fucking hit them upside the head at that point.
Put the dunce cap on. Put the dunce cap on.
You gotta go on live TV with the dunce cap.
In a
Dude, that
corner.
would be funny though. Like I would do that as a president.
I would too.
But no,
No,
I
You're
mean,
it's.
not. Never mind.
Oh,
I
God.
do think the judicial system is essentially archaic at this point, and we need a better solution, or we need improvements to it that allow it to grow organically with the people. Because the World Health Organization classified cannabis as medicinal how many years ago? Like officially?
All
And
right.
we're still here with a law that says like, oh, I guess they just reduced its penalty. That it was somehow equivocal to things like heroin and meth and all this other shit. And you're just like, what the fuck? And it just stayed that way for year after year after year and finally got demoted on the list. But like, why? Why did it take so long once scientists proved this does this, which has a medicinal benefit? There's no argument there. It was proven scientifically with facts that it does. There should be a process or something in our legal system that updates this information more frequently.
Yeah.
It was that scientific study was in direct conflict with a federal law for somewhere upwards of like 4 years or something.
Sheesh.
Why? Why did it take that long to bring its classification down? Like there's no argument there. It's scientific research. Scientists are um objective in nature, right? Like to be a scientist, you need to have an objective point of view.
Right, because you want to figure out what something does, and you don't necessarily believe just the hype.
Right, it's about cause and effect and it's not about predetermined expectations, right?
Right.
So they didn't go in there going, "Man, I want to prove this is medicinal so that I can get high every day." They just went in there to prove whether or not it had medicinal use,
Right.
either yes or
Okay.
no. And unequivocally, they found that it does. So I don't believe it should take that long for our laws to realize that they're wrong, or our legal system to realize that a law is wrong. And I think it should be a perfectly acceptable argument in the court of law to say your law is archaic, it is outdated. It has been proven scientifically infactual, and as a result, it should be thrown out.
Yeah.
Yes, and people will say, like, okay, medical benefits versus the potential risks, and the risks being increased anxiety and psychosis. That leads back to the same discussion that we had on psychedelics. It's not for everyone. Everyone reacts different to different substances. So, as much as cannabis could be an answer to taking a lot of people off depression medications, Xanax, shit that's really not good for your body,
Yeah.
to something more natural, but then there will be a set of people, a percentage of people that it does increase those things. And so, no, it's not for you.
And they should avoid
Right.
it. Right. I
Right.
mean, but like I said, penicillin, right? Penicillin, some people are allergic to penicillin, I
Right.
think.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
there
Yeah.
are plenty of antibiotics that they have different ones because some people can't have one, right? And that's because it's their body doesn't agree with it or it doesn't agree with their body. This is no different. This is the same thing, right? It's just viewed in a more negative light.
Yeah, absolutely. And they put it in that negative light by saying that psychosis could be possible with pretty much any and everybody. But according to an article that I found, it said that there's no comparison or link found between even psychedelics and weed to psychosis.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that. Trying to prove that is hard. Trying to make a correlation there is rather difficult. Um, they will keep trying to figure it out.
Hmm.
But my assumption is I think those psychotic breaks, if you will, are a reaction to losing a little bit of control, more so than any one given substance. Not that's I'm not saying that for antibiotics, but I think when you're talking about things that are related to your brain, right? Like
Right,
you're talking more about psychosis is like a mental break. It's a breakdown. I'd have to do a little more research, but it's mental related.
right,
And I think that has to do with the fact that your worldview is changing, your perspective is changing. Maybe some of those pathways that are being rewired, right? You can't handle that reality
right.
or
You
that
can't process it.
perspective. Right. And as a result, maybe you act erratically or it temporarily induces psychosis, which means it goes away most likely when the effects of the drug wear off.
Well,
Right.
technically, you are in a state of psychosis for a short amount of time while it's like doing its thing, but you don't necessarily stay in it.
Right. So, yeah, I think while it's shifting your worldview, someone is struggling to comprehend that shift.
Yep.
And as a result, that's the outcome. Whereas people who are maybe a little more open minded and are willing to say, oh, I never thought about it that way. Like, I wonder if there are any studies where they have tried to find those separate groups to see how it affects them differently. But I
Right.
do think it's more of a mental mindset than necessarily just always the physiological response. Meaning, I think someone could experience psychosis, right? And then try it again in the future and not have that same experience.
Right. Now, I've got a question though. Now, during that trip, like, what are some things that they might not be able to process?
So that is
Because
beyond my realm of understanding. Like, I'm not sure, but I
well,
think it's a
like
great
for
question.
somebody like me, like I know I said that I've tripped before, but I really haven't. My trips are that I get really high. I take a certain medication that stops all that kind of stuff.
Right.
and it like shrooms just get me like I smoked a shit ton of weed all at once.
Okay.
So I just get really high. Nothing gets more vibrant. I do get happier, but I don't know what it's like to actually trip. So, what are I guess I'm asking what are some things that people see while tripping
I
that they might not be able to fathom?
so in my experience, it depends on the person. There are people who say they have actually seen things while tripping on mushrooms, but based on what I've read, what people describe as trails when you're tripping is actually a result of increased tear production, and your tears get thicker. So when you first drink like a mushroom tea, it takes like 15 or so minutes, or at least it did on mine,
Yeah.
to kind of start kicking my ass. But what I noticed is as the onset was coming, I started yawning. And then I yawned again. And then I yawned again. And it was a series of yawns. And then I literally had like tears welled up in my eyes. They say that if you want to see trails, you leave the tears there, you don't wipe your eyes.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily think for some people there are any real visuals, but I highly believe that other people could experience. I think all of our brains are different. I am not someone who sees the world around me change or morph in any kind of way. Even when I tried acid, I never experienced it.
Okay.
I will
Um,
say for me, I also did not see anything that wasn't real that I knew was there. It was just things were brighter. It was like looking at an HD TV versus a not. Like that's a way to explain it.
Okay.
Um, there was like a shine to things, and I kind of want to say it's like looking at headlights if you have an astigmatism.
Okay.
Like
okay.
I get what you're
that's what it
saying.
was for
Yeah.
me.
You're talking about starbursts off of lights?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
other thing I found is that when I'm either tripping or I'm tripping on acid, so mushrooms or acid, irregardless of the one, I cannot look at a digital screen for more than like 5 minutes. It
Oh,
starts
it's too
making me
much.
sick. It's like overwhelming,
Bro, we
and
tried to play WoW while tripping, and it
we
was
did.
so bad.
We lasted for yeah, like 5 minutes, and then we're like, yeah, this is not working. We
Dang.
got
We
to go lay down.
we
That's
sat there and talked. Like, that was, I think, the best thing about it was laughing and talking, and the
Yeah.
laughing is so excessive. There was one
yeah.
point where we weren't even in the same room together, okay? We were in rooms that were off of each other, but we couldn't even see each other. And I just started laughing. And he's like, "Why are you laughing?" As he's laughing more. And I'm like, "I don't know. I just thought you were going to be laughing. So I'm laughing." And then it got so bad to where we were literally just sitting there in separate rooms, dying laughing at each other, dying laughing.
Well, in separate rooms. She was on the toilet.
Okay.
A
And
room
I don't care.
away. A room away, and I'm dying in the chair just, like, giggling, and then I hear her giggling coming from the bathroom, and so it, like, just amplified the giggling. My giggling made her giggle, hers made me giggle, and then it was just
And
reciprocal
so,
for,
like,
like,
we
an
couldn't
hour straight.
stop. And we were trying to play D&D.
Hold
And
on.
yeah.
I wanted to highly recommend that. If anyone is, taking, like, a minute amount of, like, LSD or what have you, with friends, D&D is the game for you. It is all about talking. It is
Yes.
all about decisions and, like, ramifications, and it's more of a story-driven game, which lends itself amazing to experiences like tripping.
And that's exact like, I was going towards that, bringing up the D&D, and I will say, so when we would play, like, sober, not tripping, I'm the weirdo that writes down everything, and I'm, like, making a story out of our D&D gameplay, so, like, the whole
Oh
fucking
my god, she was writing the entire night
but when I
until
was tripping, you can clearly if you read the difference in my writing, it's like, "Yeah, they did that." It's like one sentence.
no, at one point she just stopped. Like once it all like kicked into full effect, yeah, she started writing and then was like, I quit. I'm done writing this.
And normally I like to just write and overwrite. And yeah. It's
Yeah,
funny.
me and my buddy when we trip, like, cause he's like my partner. Like we go,
Mhm.
we got.
Well, that term could be used differently.
I
I'm
know.
just
That's
saying,
that's why
but
I'm laughing because
2024.
we we actually call ourselves heterosexual life partners because he is my best friend and I
AKA bros.
yeah he is my bro for life and we'll sit there and play video games all night. He'll bring his Xbox over and there ain't no stopping us. We're in that fucking game.
Nice.
Like if we're playing Rocket League, we're in the car.
So I think you should try Rocket League one time with one of those foot pedals in the steering wheel,
Oh my god,
like you
no.
get for regular racing games.
Can
But
you
how
do
funny?
that?
No.
What?
Can you do that?
Yeah, they make controllers that are steering wheels, and you can just remap the bindings in Rocket League to align with
No.
different things. Like gas can be your right pedal, brake and reverse can be your
Dude,
left pedal.
what's gonna be boost? Nitrous?
A button on your steering
Yeah, a
wheel,
button on your
probably.
steering wheel.
Just
Oh,
like rotate left and air roll, like you'd have to bind those because cars don't do that.
I mean, I already, when I'm holding my controller, will sit here, and as I go to jump and I'm trying to hit it with the right side of my car, my whole elbow throws and I'm like, "Huh!" Oh yeah, that didn't help. It's fine, but I'm gonna do it again next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
know you'd end up slinging that thing up against the wall.
bro, she's knocked so much stuff off her desk just
I've
from
almost
like
kicked my monitors off the desk just because I don't sit
Jesus.
correctly.
there was a time you headbutted your microphone.
Oh yeah, fuck that hurt.
Also, I don't know if you were just bending down to pick something up and then just like
I don't even know.
she's very clumsy.
There's
She
one
was
time
born blonde though,
it
in her defense.
it's like right in front of my face. There's literally been times that I'm so hyper fixated on the screen that I don't see here anymore, and I've like hit my face on it, and it's worse when I hit the septum. But I'm like, ow, damn. But
Dang.
yeah, I'm very clumsy.
Like I said, you were born blonde in your defense. It's not your fault. It's how you're it's just a part of you.
Facts. I'm more of a dirty blonde.
But as a
now.
result, you're very resilient. Like you hit your head pretty hard and you're like, ow, fuck.
It's
And then like
because
2
it's
seconds
egg
later you're
shaped.
fine.
Because of the egg shaped, it is known to be more resilient.
Well, I will say that the what is it? Geodesic domes can withstand hurricanes better than a regular house.
Yeah, that fact's being proven, and we were already talking about it before it was a thing.
Yeah. Anywho, that went way off the rails. Back to the drugs.
Yeah.
Doing drugs? Let's do drugs.
Drugs? Okay.
Do I need a twist?
You already have this shit queued up. It takes us like 10 minutes to pack the bong. He's just like, drugs? Okay.
No, it's okay. I just grabbed the pin, but that's I think ready for you.
No, bro, I got this shit laid out in front of me. It's always ready.
Well, also doing a
That's why you
dab.
go through it so quick.
Doing a dab is a lot easier. Like we're setting up a laser bong, and it takes these little capsules. So it's if I was just packing a regular bong, it would be a lot faster.
Yeah.
Excuses.
That's what I say.
Man, you know
That's
what?
100% what I say.
Your mom is excuses, but we're not going there, are we?
What'd you say?
I said your mom is excuses, but we ain't going there, are we?
Rude. That's all
Sorry.
I
I
gotta
like
say.
your mom jokes.
Hey, your mom jokes are fine. I don't care. Doesn't bother me.
Because it's
One of
not
the first
real. I
fights I
don't
ever
know your
got in.
mom. I ain't really
Listen,
shit talking your mom.
all I'm gonna say is just be careful who you say them to. One of the first fights I ever got in was like elementary school, like first day or something. I was there, and some kid was like, said some your mom joke, and I lost my shit. I was like,
No.
"Don't you talk about my mama?"
But so
So
we do your mom jokes to each other all the time, knowing 100% like it's not
Right.
real in any way. And it's really funny because there's been a few times where his mom was actually like walking by as I threw in your mom. And she's like, his mom, what? And so then I got to explain it like, we're just kidding. It's just something we do. Like he does it, we do it, we do it. Your mom. It's not even really your mom. It has nothing to actually do with your mama. It's just I'm from the 90s and I like to say your mom.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, just watch them jokes because sometimes people don't want to hear it.
Then people need to stop being so
Sometimes it hits a
sensitive.
little too close to home.
That's true.
And then it's not funny for that person. It might be funny to you, but if what is it that you tell our kid? If you're the only one laughing, it's not a joke. It's
And you're a
bullying,
bully.
right? Like,
I'm not trying to be a bully. I'm a class clown.
I mean, I get it, but if somebody gets offended by it, you have to understand it's
I would
possible.
always apologize, but deep down I'm like, I didn't even mean it like that. Calm down.
I'm the same way.
I'm just saying, like, that's just me and my personality. Half the things I say are not for any real.
Dylan, did you almost say half the things I shit?
Shut. I was gonna say half the things I shit talk about. Like, I'm
Oh,
not.
okay. You picked a bad stopping
Yeah.
point. You should have said shit. I mean, da da da, because
I
then I
hear
would have got
you.
shit talk. But you stopped at so I heard shit. All the things I shit.
Out my mouth. All the things I shit out my mouth.
Ooh.
No, but for real, it's all talk just to be funny, haha. But in the hindsight, like I'm a person who does care about feelings. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to be offensive, and I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to be funny. If it's not funny, you say it. I won't say it again. That's what I don't get with the world today. That's fine. I won't say it again to you.
Although I think comedians should have a little more freedoms there.
Yeah, that's
We got
their
to stop trying
job.
to cancel comedians.
That's their
Their whole
fucking
point.
job.
Yeah, no shit. And the whole point of it is to make jokes about things that are uncomfortable and awkward.
Edgy.
Yes. Like, I mean, and I think it's a great outlet for those things. It raises awareness to them. And yes, it gives people an opportunity to laugh at them, even though sometimes it's misfortunate from a third person. It might seem funny, but obviously, being that person, it might feel differently. I
Right.
think we just got to stop being so uptight
Yeah.
as a
Facts.
society.
Facts.
Like,
That's where we're going to call it for today, everyone. See you every Friday. Just remember, it's more than cannabis and coffee, it's a mindset. Whether you see us or hear us, you're part of the crew, and we want to hear from you. So make sure to reach out via X or Instagram, which can be found at cannabiscoffeecrew.com.
You got to know what. You got to know what. You got to know what.